morning, everybody. Let us start the class. Today we are starting with what did we deal? We dealt about industrial regions, right? So we dealt about two industrial regions, if I'm not wrong, uh, right? We dealt about two industrial regions. So we started with Bombay, and I think we have completed Ahmedabad and Vadodara also, right? That is the portion that we stopped. Ahmedabad, Vadodara.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So take down the next one. The next one, give the heading as Kolkata Hooghly region. So there was a diagram that I had drawn also. So just a second, give me a few minutes time. Let me get a map of the same thing. Yes, before we start, in the meantime, let me ask you, any doubts with regard to yesterday's class? Any doubts that you have? Any doubts that you have? So in the meantime, let's take down some notes in Kolkata Hooghly region. That's the heading that you want to be. We want to see later. Kolkata Hooghly region. Now, very well. First of all, you yourself can answer certain things. Think about it. Just think about it. What makes Kolkata a very important industrial region? The first one is port. Definitely, the first one is port. Then we can think about there are two ports. In fact, there are two ports. We have the Haldia port acting as a satellite port of the main Kolkata port. So there are port being the first advantage. Historical colonial advantage is there. Historical colonial advantage is there. You have the famous jute industry being set up by the British people, jute and cotton. So jute is another important activity. So you have a lot of agro-based industries that can happen there because of the presence of such industrial inertia. We call it as industrial inertia. What do you mean by inertia? Inertia means when I mean simply in English, I'm not going to physics of it. When I say something like industrial inertia, that means that that region has got the power to support more and more industries. That region already has the power to support more and more industries. That's called as industrial inertia. For example, I can say that Kochi has an industrial inertia because of the port system, because of the port that they have. No, that's correct. So because there is an industrial inertia, Delhi has an administrative inertia because right from Mughal times, Delhi has always been the administrative capital with respect to India. So there is an administrative inertia in terms of Delhi. So Kolkata has an industrial inertia, especially there is an agro-based industrial inertia. Then, of course, we have the indigo industry. Again, colonial legacy, indigo. Indigo is another factor. Tea is another colonial factor. Tea is another colonial factor. So what are the agro-based colonial industries that were set up? The first one is jute. Then we have very important is tea and indigo. Indigo was at least stopped, but tea was continued, right? Let me share something with you. Just a second. for the sake of map. Yes. So I think you can see my screen now, right? The screen, you can see the website.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now just observe the region. When I'm telling about the region, just observe the region. So right now we are talking about this Hooghly region. We have covered the Mumbai region. We have covered the Mumbai region. This region is being done. So this region has been done, and we have covered this region also. We are supposed to go for this Hooghly, Cuttack, Hooghly, Kolkata region, which also includes um, the regions around Kolkata. This becomes Chota Nagpur region. Now follow this. I was talking about agro-based industries, some colonial and advantages there. Then what do you know about Hooghly? I've always mentioned about one coal fields near Kolkata. What is it? It is the Raniganj coalfields. Raniganj coalfields. Since the Jharkhand region, since it is very close by, we have much of the what do you call it? The coal-based industries. There is an advantage of coals. So we have the Jharia coal fields. We have the Raniganj coal fields. What is it? Jharia, Jharia, Jharia coal fields, and Raniganj coal fields nearby, which was giving me an advantage of coal power. Okay. The other advantage is the river Hooghly itself. The river Hooghly itself, it gives me what? It gives me the power with respect to tidal power. Apart from that, it is also giving me lots of plenty of water to conduct my industries. It is also giving me the navigational power. So these are the other important things. Now, what are the problems with regard to this belt, Kolkata belt? The first problem is, can somebody tell me the problems that you can visualize in Kolkata belt? Just brainstorm. Just give me some answers. We have already discussed this. This is a general thing. Just tell me the problems with respect to Kolkata region, this region. What can be the problems? Anybody?
Competition from Bangladesh. Are
Definitely, definitely. And then, and then think about the government. Think about the local government. It is communist tendency. So the communist tendencies will create lots of labor unrest related problems. There will be lots of strikes. There will be communist government. So they will not lead to lots of advancements, lot of development. So there is a lot of labor unrest that is happening. So that is one major problem with regard to both Kolkata region as well as Kerala region. All right. So the first thing is the problem with regard to government. Too many illegal goods, and very, very importantly, counterfeit currency. What is that? Counterfeit currency means duplicate currency, fake notes. Let me Counterfeit currency means fake notes. Fake notes or duplicate currency. So that is counterfeit currency enters via Bangladesh to India. And then there is a problem of illegal drug trade, and illegal cow trade that happens in the regions of Kolkata. Cow trade, illegal cow trade, meat trading activities, illegal cow trading activities or meat trading activities. In a um, counterfeit currency, drug trade, and very, very importantly, Naxalism. Naxalism, left-wing extremism is also another problem with regard to this region, Naxalite movement region. So that is one more problem. And then there is complete, there is a universal problem. You can call it as a universal problem with respect to, with respect to uh, this region, with all the prior important city, Mumbai, Anangalam, Chennai, or if it is Kolkata, what is that major issue that connects all of them? Congestion, population explosion, related congestion. Too many people in one place. They are not, we will not be able to get, see, we are talking about industrial region. Industrial region, ആദ്യം എന്താ വേണ്ടത്? ഒരു land. Land acquisition itself is a big problem in these major cities. Land acquisition is itself a major problem. Congestion is a problem. And congestion related other problems like resource access. Congestion related problems like resource access. What is resource access? I will not get proper schooling, education facilities for my children. I will not be getting proper hospital facilities. Congestion related or population related problems. Shortage of drinking water. Remember, I told you about one phenomenon. What is it? Transgression of salt water, transgression of sea water in this region. Yes, we have studied this. And that is also another basic problem with regard to this region. Transgression of seawater, pollution with heavy metals, leading to shortage of drinking water supply. And then we have the usual things. These are usual things. What is it? Power shortages, obsolete machinery. These are usual things that you can write for any given industrial region in India. All right, these are some common things that you can write for any given industrial region in India. Right. Now, the next region that we are talking about is the very important Bangalore-Chennai belt. Bangalore-Chennai Coimbatore belt. Bangalore-Chennai Coimbatore belt. Where have they written it here? No, they have not written. Okay, so it's Bangalore, Chennai, Coimbatore belt. Right. The problems, what is this region famous for? What are the famous industrial activities? These are the things that we are going to see. The first thing is, it is a inter-state, or you can say it stretches between two states. It is an industrial belt that stretches between the two states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. And the problem is that, the problem is also in that only. The problem is, governmental policies in these two states may not match. And then there will not be a continuity of industries. There will not be a continuous stretch of industries because the governmental policies will differ from one state to another. Any sorts of political problems that occurs between this interstate disputes that occurs between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka can completely disrupt the transportation, the logistics with regard to the industries. There is a complete problem of power shortages. Always Chennai, Karnataka regions, mostly they will have power shortages. They will have power shortage. Things are power deficit regions also. So they have power shortages. Things are improving. Things are not like that right now, but still you can write that as a problem. Definitely, when we are talking about Tamil Nadu, one important, we are talking about Coimbatore, Chennai region. So what is the most important sector apart from automobiles in Chennai, apart from automobiles, when I'm talking about textiles? Coimbatore is well known for their textile industry. So when I'm talking about textiles, what is the problem? Whatever we have written in textile, cotton textile industry, obsolete machinery, it's been used, technology has not been upgraded, labor shortages, not labor shortages, what do you call it? Unskilled labor is another issue. unskilled labor. Textile industry, when I go for yarning mills, spinning mills, and so on, I need some skilled labor. Okay, it's not like agriculture. There needs to be some skilling. So presence of unskilled labors, skill development must be given for them. Then handlooms in textile industry, especially with regard to Coimbatore region, with respect to textile industry, handloom sector, follow this, handloom sector is the most important sector. It has given jobs to many people. It has been a livelihood savior for many people. But right now, the handloom sector is being replaced by spinning mills and power mills, spinning mills and power looms. Now that machine has replaced the work of man, and therefore a lot of people have lost their traditional livelihood. When I'm talking about Chennai, when I'm talking about Chennai, Kanchipuram, Kanchipuram is an important silk textile center with regard to South India. Kanchipuram is an important silk textile sector with regard to South India. And the problem with the Kanchipuram silk industry is again the same thing. If the people, the livelihoods have been to produce silk saris. It's a handloom sector. The handloom industry is being slowly replaced by mechanized production. So the weavers, the silk textile weavers are facing a definite problem of livelihood loss. All right. So these are the problems. Now coming to the what do you call the positives of the sector, the positives of this industry. So the first thing is it has got some major ports nearby. Look at this region, Bangalore to Tamil Nadu. What do you have here? I have the Mangalore. I have the Mangalore port. Here I have the Marmagova port. Here I have Chennai port. Somewhere here I have Tuticorin port. Four major ports located very close to this industrial belt. This is the first major advantage. Marmagova port, Mangalore port, Chennai port, Tuticorin port. Four ports located very close to this belt. That is the first advantage. Export potential is very high. Now talking about the second advantage. This belt, the Chennai belt, especially the regions of Chennai, it is the automobile capital of India, especially of South India. Now, in that case, Ford industry is there, Hyundai industry is there, Hindustan Motors is there. Now, these sectors definitely need ports. Now, I have ports, I have good automobile sector. Combining that, export potential of automobile industry is very high. Many ancillary industries of passenger cars and commercial cars are located in this industry, are located in this region, leading to overall growth of this region. Acting as growth centers, automobiles industry acting as growth center with regard to this belt or this industrial region. The next important point is um, Bangalore developing as an IT hub of the entire country. The Silicon Valley of the entire country. Bangalore is developing as an IT hub or a Silicon Valley of the country, attracting lots of budding entrepreneurs and startups. Now, this is another advantage. So this is increasing the entrepreneurial capital of the country. This is increasing. What do you mean by entrepreneurial capital? The investment in entrepreneurs, the intelligence of entrepreneurs, the knowledge of entrepreneurs. We call it as entrepreneurial capital. Social capital, heard of that term? Social capital, this is entrepreneurial capital. That is advantage of Bangalore. IT hub, it's IT service industry. It is giving us a lot of service income. So that is an advantage with regard to Bangalore. Then we have Chennai. So that's the combined advantage of this region. Apart from that, you can also write about the presence of many industrial plants in this region, which includes the iron and steel industry with regard to Chitradurg, Bellary region, iron and steel. You can write about thermal power plants, nuclear power plants of what is that place in Chennai? What is the place? Nuclear place in Chennai? Kudankulam. No. Nuclear power plant. Anybody has got any idea? Nuclear power plant is Chennai. Oh yeah, Kalpakam, right. So we can talk about Kalpakam. We can talk about Kaiga power plant in Karnataka. So these are the other things, never mind. So you can talk about power plants, like you can talk about thermal power plant in Tuticorin, you can talk about the nuclear power plant of Tamil Nadu. Definitely you need to talk about one more thing, that is the iron and steel sector, especially with regard to Bellary, Chitradurg and Salem. Those are the important industrial units, aluminum factories there in Salem. So these are the important things that you need to talk about with respect to Bangalore, Chennai, Coimbatore belt. Yes. Yes, is this clear? This part? Any doubts, any points that we need to reiterate? Let's move on to the next industrial region, that is Chota Nagpur industrial region. Give the heading as Chota Nagpur industrial region. Are you taking running notes? Yes. Yes, good. Fine. There. Okay. Okay. Right. Now we go on to the next one. Let's go to Chota Nagpur industrial region. Okay, perfect. Right. Chota Nagpur industrial region. Now, this region, I have mentioned one word about this already. It is a resource cursed region. It's a resource cursed region. Yes. Why? Because we have a lot of resource, but the development in this region is very small. So if I'm talking about especially this part also, there is too much of resource, but the development is very less. It is called as the RUR of India. It is called as RUHR, RUR of India. RUR is an, we have dealt about this in the iron and steel industry also. RUR Valley is very famous for the iron ore in Germany. So RUR Valley is a very famous iron ore place in Germany. And this place is called, Chota Nagpur region is called, since because of its many mineral resources, we call it as RUR of India. But the development is very poor in spite of the enormous supply of metallic and non-metallic industries in this region. If you talk about the overall regional development, the overall social development, it is very pathetic. So that is the problem of this region. But coming to the positives, it supplies the entire mineral resources for India. Definitely, we need to talk about Durg and Bastar with regard to Chhattisgarh. Yes. Similarly, we need to talk about Durg and Bastar for with regard to iron and steel. Similarly, we can talk about some of the important iron and steel plants, which is located, iron and steel plants, which is located at Bokaro, Durgapur. Durgapur, so it's actually located somewhere in West Bengal. But if you analyze this region supplies the iron and steel for that plant. So Durgapur, similarly my Bokaro steel plant, Jamshedpur steel plant, Bhilai steel plant, all of this is getting supply of iron ore from this Chota Nagpur belt. All right. And then we need to talk about Damodar Valley Corporation, DVC. We have dealt in detail about DVC Corporation, but DVC is also an outcome, or you can say DVC also supplies power to this Chota Nagpur industrial belt. DVC supplies power, Damodar Valley Corporation. DVC supplies power to this region, and then you can take down a couple of industries, starting from the most important industries. Yesterday also I dealt about this name, Sindri in Bihar, that supports fertilizer factory. Sindri in Bihar supporting fertilizer factory. Chittaranjan locomotives, very important. Chittaranjan locomotives, very famous place also. So Chittaranjan locomotives for locomotive sector, for automobile sector. Ramgarh for glass industry. But the problem with regard to this region is underdevelopment, extreme underdevelopment, lack of uh, governmental responsibility, lack of administration, or you can call it as bureaucratic apathy. Bureaucratic apathy, meaning sympathy in the opposite on empathy. Like you do not think about the conditions of these people. You are അവർ എന്തായാലും നമുക്ക് പ്രശ്നമല്ല, let me do my duty, let me be happy, that kind of very relaxed attitude on bureaucratic apathy. So bureaucratic apathy is also one of the reasons with regard to lack of development here, shortage of skilled labor, problems of Naxalism and left-wing extremism, that is a major issue. Okay, so these are the issues with regard to Chota Nagpur industrial region. Coming to the next one. Coming to the next one. Uh, this is done. This is done. This. Let's go to this one. This is major. Then we shall think about Visakhapatnam. So first one, Gurgaon, Delhi, Meerut region, or the Noida, Delhi, Meerut belt. Gurgaon, Delhi, Meerut belt, or Noida, Meerut, Delhi belt. This is the next belt that we are dealing. Now, by far, the region of this Delhi belt is very small. When compared to Bangalore belt, or when compared to Mumbai, Gujarat belt, the region of spread with regard to Delhi belt is comparatively smaller. But the number of industries, the rate of industrialization is extremely high. The rate of industrialization, the number of industries is extremely high. In your notes, I shall be giving you a lot of industries. Uh, I will give you like the name of the industry and the place associated with it. But right now, I shall discuss about the most important points among them, starting from Agra. So as soon as I tell you the name Agra, from geographical industrial point of view, few things should come to your mind. Textile industry. Agra is very known, well known for their textile and tourism. Agra is well known for textiles and tourism. So Agra is very, very close to you, this part of Lucknow. And in Lucknow, I have a work called Chikankari work. So those kinds of intricate handmade textiles that is available in Agra. That is available in Agra. So that is one advantage. That is one advantage. Agra is known for textiles. Agra is known for also for the tourism. Tourism. Yes, of course, we know about many important Mughal monuments which is situated in near Agra. So that is another reason why people are attracted to Agra. Right. And then Ambala. Ambala. Name any scientific instrument that you are using. Most of them will be manufactured in Ambala. So Ambala is a big manufacturer of scientific instruments. Okay. Then we should not be forgetting a small place in this part, which is my Chandigarh. Okay, so Chandigarh is well known for their electronic goods as well as some of their defense goods, electronics goods and defense goods, defense sector. I'll come to Delhi at last, but then now let's move to the next sector, next important region, that is we have Mathura. What is Mathura famous for? Heard of Mathura Petrochemicals? It's a very famous industry. We have the petrochemical industry in Mathura. So Mathura is famous for their petrochemical industry. Mathura is famous for your petrochemical industry. Meerut is famous for sugar industry and textile industry. Faridabad is famous for engineering works as well as some of their glass work. Glass work. Faridabad is famous for their engineering works and glass works. Saharanpur, it is famous for Saharanpur in UP. Saharanpur is famous for woodworks, woodwork. Now let's come to Delhi. Delhi. Delhi has too many industries like textiles, chemical industry, drugs and pharmaceuticals, textiles, chemicals, drugs and pharmaceuticals, electronic goods manufacturing, and food processing. And food processing. All right. But what is the problem with regard to this belt? Problem is very high price of the cost of land. High price of land. That's the first major issue. Traffic jam, environmental pollution, high rate of crimes, population congestion, shortage of groundwater, shortage of drinking water, noise pollution, air pollution, water pollution. Noise pollution, most of the times throughout, air pollution, especially during the winter, we have the particulate matter pollution. Water pollution, because of the presence of too many industries, the groundwater is getting polluted by industrial effluents and sewages. Rate of crimes, high rate of crimes. That is one another factor, another problematic factor. So these are the problems with regard to these belts. All right. Now, coming to the Vishakhapatnam Guntur belt, Vishakhapatnam Guntur belt. Now understand the first point is the main industries. Vizag is a port. Vishakhapatnam is a port. So when I'm talking about a port, I will definitely have, as we have discussed before, we have the Bailadila Vishakhapatnam pipeline. So an entire iron steel plant is located in this region of Vizag. There is a steel plant which is located there, and it gets its uh, coal from export, as well as some of the iron is we get it from Bailadila mines also. So iron we get it from Bailadila mines, coal we are getting from imported coal, and there's a steel plant in Vizag region. Okay, so that is about Vizag. That is about Vishakhapatnam. Now the next thing is shipbuilding activity. And another very important activities here is shipbuilding activity. Now, can somebody tell me where is the ship breaking factory in India? There is only one ship breaking factory in India. So it is at a region called as Alang in Gujarat. It is in a region called as Alang in Gujarat. Alang in Gujarat. They dismantle this ship. You can say that they engage in what is called as scrapping the ship. Okay, they engage in what is called as scrapping, like dismantling, scrapping, recycling, anything. So, okay, so that is about ship building activity in Vishakhapatnam. Similarly, you have shipbuilding, iron and steel, fish processing industries. Fish processing industries. Now understand this entire belt of Andhra. Okay, this entire belt of Andhra, they are very well known for aquaculture. The best prawns, basa fish. Heard of basa fish? Basa fish, prawns, lobsters, the best quality of them. It comes from mostly this belt of Andhra Pradesh. They supply to West Bengal, they supply to Bangladesh. Major consumers are these regions, major consumers. They also export to other parts of the world, but major consumers are Bangladesh and West Bengal region. Internally itself, within the country itself, they have a lot of market. So fish processing industry, rice milling industry. Guntur, it is famous for rice milling. See, in the Andhra is called as a rice bowl of India, right? Andhra Pradesh. So what happens is they produce a lot of rice. You have to give the rice to mills, process it, get your rice. That's what they do. So you have to process the grains. So rice mills are there in Guntur. Apart from that, spice mills, chili, spice, chili, red chili, uh, those mills, spice mills, especially red chili mills, that is also there with regard to um, Guntur region. So the main industrial regions or the main industrial centers of this region includes Guntur, Vishakhapatnam, United, Guntur, Vishakhapatnam, Rajahmundry, Rajahmundry, and Machilipatnam. So if you observe here, Machilipatnam, P-A-T. Okay. So if you observe in this part, if I have to show them in the map, it will be something like this. So I will be having Guntur. So this portion is my Krishna drainage portion. So this is where I have Vijayawada. This is a mark. And very next to it, somewhere here, I will be having my Guntur and Vijayawada, they are like, what do you say? Neighboring districts. It's like Idiki and Kottayam. It's like Idiki, Pathanamthitta, Kottayam. Very, very near you have now. So just like that, you have Visakhapatnam as well as this portion of Guntur. Right. And then coming to Machilipatnam, that is also a port town. That port town, that's like a coastal town, and that is also located somewhere very next to my Vijayawada region. So Guntur, Vijayawada, and Machilipatnam are very, very close by. Rajamundry is somewhere down south. So that is an important place also. Then we have, yes, Visakhapatnam at the topmost corner. That's here. So more or less, I think we have covered this. Yes. Then let's go to the next important region. That is this part. Kollam, Trivandrum region. Kollam, Trivandrum region. So this is a coastal belt. So obviously the main factor is, the main important thing is you also have a port in Kochi. So the main important factor is shipbuilding industry is in Kochi. Building industry is in Kochi. Petroleum refinery is in Kochi. Fish processing industry is there in this belt. Fish processing industry. Coconut oil extraction industry. Coconut oil based industry. Coir industry. Coir industry. So, and chemical industries. We cannot forget about chemicals and fertilizers. So, chemical and fertilizer industry. These are the major industries with regard to this belt. Okay, so roughly we have covered the major industrial belts of our country. Okay, apart from that, whatever small minor industrial belts is there, just take care of the notes. We will be giving it the notes. All right. Quickly, if you want me to tell something about it, you yourself can answer this. This Assam belt, what is it famous for? Of course, it should be famous for tea industry. Tea industry. Similarly, if I am talking about number five, that is this Kolhapur region. That is number five, which is Kolhapur South Kannada region. Kolhapur South Kannada region. Obviously, they are also famous for cotton textiles. They are famous for their food processing industries. So that is mostly with regard to this belt, the Kolhapuri belt. So many of the leather processing industries, Kolhapuri, slippers and all you have. So that leather processing, food processing, and cotton textile industry. All right. So then you have the very famous, maybe Ambala, that's done. Let us talk about Indore belt. Number three, this belt. Indore belt. Indore Ujjain belt. Now here, again, the important, these are minor industrial regions. Again, remember this, these are minor industrial regions. When I'm talking about Indore, cotton is another factory because like black cotton soil and everything. So cotton textile industry is very famous here. Uh, engineering goods, heavy engineering based goods, that is also famous in this region. More of the minor sectors we will be giving you in the notes, but please analyze major regions. Problems in the Kerala, our regions that are problems in the Kerala. What are the activities? What are the industrial activities which is going on here? These things you need to understand. All right. All right. So that is it with regard to your industrial regions. Now, the next thing that we are moving on is a very important topic called as industrial complexes. Something that is very much in connection to industrial regions, industrial complex. So give the heading as industrial complexes, industrial complexes. industrial complexes. So what is an industrial complex? What is an industrial complex? And how is it different from an industrial region? An industrial region is more like a geographical spatial concept. Please take running notes. An industrial region, I'm talking about a geographical spread. I'm talking about a region in a particular place. Look at this. We talked about Bombay industrial region. We talked about Chennai, Kolkata, sorry, Chennai, Bangalore industrial region. I'm talking about a geographical space. In that geographical space, I discussed so many industries. When I was talking about industrial region of Chennai, I was talking about automobile sector. I was talking about your port industry. I was talking about nuclear power plants. I was talking about industrial hubs, IT industrial hubs. So in an industrial region, for any industrial region, the first point is that it is a geospatial concept, and I have diverse industries present in that region. I have a variety of industries present in that region. Now, on the other hand, when I'm talking about an industrial complex, it is like one basic hardcore industry. What is it? It is a one single well-developed industry. Now, do not write anything. Just listen to this. What am I telling you? One hardcore, fully developed industry. So if I'm talking about Jamshedpur, what is the first thing that will come to your mind? Jamshedpur steel plant, iron and steel industry. The Tatas built this Jamshedpur city, and they have a steel plant there called as Jamshedpur plant. Now this entire city of not city, a town of Jamshedpur revolves around that single industry. Yes or no? The entire town of Jamshedpur revolves around the concept of that single industry. In polity, we read about a concept called as townships in municipalities. In municipal organizations, we read about something called as townships. Yes or no? We read about townships. Remember this in polity. Do you remember reading something about townships in polity? In the chapter number municipalities, different types of municipal organizations. We have municipal corporations, we have town area committee, we have notified area committee, we have townships, we have port trust, we have defense, what do you call it, cantonment towns. Yes or no? Fine. Yes, nice that you remember. Yes. Now, what is in polity? I'm teaching polity here. In polity, when you were reading about township, if you could remember, I told this in class. BHEL is one such township, and in the polity, in that same Lakshmikant book, they would have given that township essentially is like an extension of the whoever is managing that township. It is an extension of the industrial board, like DHEL or industrial board കാണും അവിടെ ഒരു അഡ്മിനിസ്ട്രേറ്റീവ് സെറ്റപ്പ് കാണും അതിന്റെ ഒരു എക്സ്റ്റൻഷൻ തന്നെയാണ് ഈ ടൗൺഷിപ്പിന് മാനേജ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് എന്നാണ് അവിടെ കൊടുത്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. So same thing, if I'm talking about Jamshedpur steel plant, this place is a township, this place is a township, and you can say that it is an administrative concept, as well as it is an economic concept. It is an the township is more like an administrative concept as well as it is an economic concept. What is the administrative concept? That we have something which is given even in the municipal 74th amendment, that we have an establishment called as a township. So this is an administrative concept. What is the economic concept? Yes, that there is a steel plant there, and this township is being managed by an extension of the administrative board of the steel plant. That is an economic concept. That entire township is revolving around the economic activities of that single steel plant. That is an economic concept. So I can define my industrial complex as a socio-economic complex, as a socio-economic complex, because there is some humanitarian, social, administrative aspect attached to it. There is some economic aspect attached to it. So it is a socio-economic complex where business and political systems become intertwined with each other. I repeat, it is a socio-economic complex where businesses and political system becomes intertwined with one another. You cannot differentiate, okay, this is my administrative system, this is my economic system. The ones who are administering the BHEL township, the ones who are administering the Jamshedpur plant, they are the ones who are conducting the administrative system of this particular small township. It is highly intertwined. The hospitals will be run by the Jamshedpur Steel Plant Corporation. There will be one localized schools also. So if I'm talking about BHEL, there will be a BHEL hospital, there will be a BHEL school also that will be run even within the campus, even within the township. So the socio-economic complex, the administration and the economics gets very much intertwined with each other. And the best example is you can quote BHEL township in Tiruchirappalli, in Tiruchi, Jamshedpur township in case of Jamshedpur. Okay, so these are the examples. These are the examples. So some of the features of industrial complex. Let's quickly go through the features of industrial complex. Number one, the very first point is it is very well connected with the transportation networks of the country. Railway lines, highways, it will be very well connected. Sometimes even with ports, but it will be very well connected with railways and national highways, well connected to the power grid. There will be uninterrupted high quality power supply in those townships. There will be uninterrupted power supply in those townships. They're well connected banking institutions. Assured supply of fresh water. If you are residing in townships, these are the benefits that you get. Assured supply of fresh water, groundwater, assured supply of water supply. Banking facilities, we have discussed. Quality infrastructure, quality infrastructure. And the next point is the lead industry. There will be one single lead industry that supports the entire industrial complex. There will be one single heavy engineering based industry, right? Like this, there will be one core heavy, there will be, I'll write this, one core heavy engineering based industry that runs the entire industrial complex. And this industry is what we call it as a lead industry. And it will have forward linkages, it will have backward linkages. It will have strong forward and backward linkages. Availability of cheap labor and skilled labor force. Cheap and skilled labor force. These are some of the features with regard to industrial complexes. So coming to the examples of industrial complex, one best example with regard to industrial complex we just now discussed, which is Jamshedpur. Jamshedpur Iron and Steel Plant, it is very, very important. Now, another feature is the last feature you can write is there will be ancillary industries that will grow around this growth center. There will be ancillary industries that will grow around this growth center, and there will be an agglomerative effect that will be created by this growth center. There will be agglomerative effect that may be created because of this growth center. So example is Jamshedpur Steel Plant. Then you can write about anything else. For example, you can write about Salem plant. You can write about Salem Iron and Steel Plant. Uh, Even for that matter, you can write about, I'm thinking of examples which you can easily remember. Industrial complex, maybe you can write about Infosys IT Park. No, that's not a heavy industry, so you cannot write that. No. So anyway, you need to remember there is no industrial complex as such that gets developed in Kerala, which is very famous. There's no strong industrial complex. We have CESs in Kerala. So inside CES, there can be industrial complex, but that is not administratively linked. That is not administratively linked. Therefore, please remember some of the uh, examples that I'm giving you. The one thing is Jamshedpur. The second thing is Durgapur Steel Plant, Jamshedpur Steel Plant, Sindri Fertilizer Factory in Bihar, Sindri Chemical Fertilizer Factory, Bhopal Electrical Engineering Works, Chennai automobile sector. You can think of Chennai automobile sector industry. Okay, now let's write about the differences between industrial complex and industrial region. What is the difference between industrial complex and industrial region? Okay, so the first point is, as you all know, industrial complex is like a socio-economic concept where administration and economy is very much interlinked. Whereas industrial regions is a spatial concept, it is a geospatial concept, right? The second thing is, just now I've explained to you, industrial complex doesn't have industrial region ആണെങ്കിൽ അതിനെ ഒത്തിരി diverse number of industrial activities will be going on in one single place. Example, Chennai Bangalore industrial region, where I have automobile sector, where I have port facilities, I have IT service hub also. So there are many industries in one single region. And in support of it, there will be some ancillary industries also. But there will be many heavy engineering industries and service sector that will grow continuously in the single industrial region belt. Greater diversification of industries. Remember, we mentioned it here. there will be diverse industries, so there will be greater diversification. Greater diversification of industries in the case of industrial regions, greater diversification of industries in the case of industrial regions, whereas in the case of IC, complex, industrial complex, there will be lesser diversification, but there will be greater specialization. I repeat, there will be lesser diversification, but there will be greater specialization. Example, Jamshedpur. Jamshedpur does not do too many works. Steel and iron steel plants so there is lesser diversification but greater specialization. What do you mean by that? Even in that single industry, they will specialize. Industrial grade steel, local commercial steel. So they will specialize in that one iron and steel industry. They will take up only one industry, but they will be highly specialized in that industry. The third point is, in an industrial region, there will be many industries who will be taking care of manufacturing activities. Industrial region, they will be taking care of manufacturing activities. Metallurgical industries will be there. What do you mean by metallurgical? Yesterday I told you, from ore I'm extracting that metal. So there will be metallurgical industry. And extract ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള metal if I'm manufacturing something like automobiles, that is manufacturing industry. Then finally, I'm fabricating the entire manufactured components into a bike, into a car. That is assembling sector. So manufacturing takes place, metallurgical industry takes place, manufacturing takes place, assembly and fabrication. Assembly sector and fabrication sector also takes place. So there is an entire long chain. There is a long chain commercial activity which is going on in a single place. And the purpose is even export will take place from that single industrial region. Exporting will be taking place. Whereas when I'm talking about industrial complex, they are sub-units of an industrial region. They are subunits of an industrial region. What do you mean by subunits? If I watch out this, did not write it. If I say this is an industrial region, industrial complex will be a small part of that industrial region. If I have Chota Nagpur industrial region, Jamshedpur steel plant is a small part of it. So what can I write here? Industrial complex is just a subunit of the entire industrial region where production and manufacturing takes place with greater specialization. Where production and manufacturing takes place with greater specialization. Did you understand this concept? Chota Nagpur region is an entire industrial region. അവിടെ ഒരു ചെറിയൊരു പാർട്ടാണ് നമ്മുടെ ജാംഷഡ്പൂർ industrial complex. Right. The next point is, industrial regions has got a lot of governmental investments as well as private investment. I repeat, it is a large area where there is a lot of government investment as well as private investment. Primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector, all three people will work together in this industrial region. But industrial complex is like there will be, since there is a lot of specialization which is involved here, since there is a lot of specialization which is involved here, primary workers will not be mostly found. It is a heavy engineering work, heavy engineering based works. So primary sector work will not be taking place here. Either there will be secondary workers or there will be tertiary workers. Now, the next important thing is, in industrial region, there is no single management authority. There can be multiple management authorities, but in case of IC, there is a single management authority. Okay, so these are the different points of differences with regard to IC and IR. All right. Any doubts in this? Any doubts in any points that we have discussed so far? Okay. So if at all you don't have doubt, then we can move to the next topic, which is cottage industry. What is cottage industry? Basically, the traditional rural industries, like if I'm talking about khadi, if I'm talking about BD industry. Have you heard of BD industry? BD making, BD, that tobacco they roll into small cigars. So that's BD. That's BD industry, BD making industry, khadi industry. If I'm talking about any of the handicraft sector, all of them come under the cottage industries. All of them come under cottage industries. They use very simple tools to produce everyday goods. So suppose let's say the basket weaving. Basket weaving. This is a product. This is a basket is a product which we use for regular consumption, which we use as a part of your regular day-to-day household activities. So that is a cottage industry. Paper bag making. Paper bags. This paper bags, many of them make it as a part of their cottage industry. So definitely, cottage industry, you cannot forget pots. All those pot making industry, Kaliman, they do the pots, right? So all that is part of your cottage industry. So definitely these are rural industries. These are small scale industries. These are used, they produce goods which are produced, they produce goods which are used by the people on their regular day-to-day life. They are produced with simple tools, simple materials, simple tools. Family members engage as a part of the labor in the case of cottage industry. Members engage as a part of the labor in the case of cottage industries. Okay. So as soon as I tell you cottage industries, one commission, that is Khadi and Village Industries Commission, Khadi and Village Industries Commission. This is remember KVIC is a statutory body. It is a statutory body, and this tries to promote and protect the cottage industries. Promote and protect the cottage industry. All right. And one very important thing is uh, cottage industry and KVIC have been set up with Gandhian philosophy in their minds, which is Swarajya. They wanted to develop sustainable, self-sustaining villages. They want to set up self-sustaining Swadeshi Swarajya villages, self-sustaining villages. Okay, so that is the idea behind setting up cottage industries. But at present, uh, that will come to later. Like, first of all, what is the importance of having cottage industry? If the heading has importance of cottage industry, take some running notes. Right. Importance of cottage industries. The first thing is it will give you increased employment opportunities for the people in the rural sector. The second thing is reduction in poverty. It will reduce poverty. It will bring the people in cycles of employment. It will give you employment. Agriculture is a seasonal industry. Apart from that, also people need some economic activity. For that, cottage industry is the best example. Cottage industry acts or fills the gap of seasonal unemployment that can be caused because of agriculture being the major economic activity in the villages. It fills up the seasonal unemployment gap produced by agriculture. It is an eco-friendly sector as mostly um, eco-friendly raw materials are being used in this sector. There is no hardcore emissions that is being created because of the cottage industries. Since women are mostly engaged in the cottage industry, it supports employment of women. It supports empowerment of women. Write in short forms. Write in short forms. Do not write large, big sentences. Write in short forms. It utilizes the local skills of the people. Pot making is a local skill of the people. So it tries to utilize the local skills of the people. Now, another thing is it is also an attractor of village tourism. It is also attracting village tourism. So there are cottage-based village tourism. There is cottage-based village tourism. That is, come to this village, you can make pots. Come to this village, you can make pots, you can make baskets, you can weave cotton. So the village tourism in the extension art. So it's tourism is also getting extended because of such. You can write village tourism is happening because of such cottage industries. Example, there are many villages which will actually promote foreign tourists to visit their villages and to engage in pot making, basket weaving, cotton spinning, etc. All right. And then it is also an foreign currency earner, or you can say it has got a lot of export potential. It has got a lot of export potential. It involves this industry, to set up this industry, it involves less capital, less capital requirements. There's no hard machines are not needed. It's just basically hand woven materials. Right? So machines are not needed. So the capital investment is also very much lesser. Coming to these are the features or the positives with regard to this particular sector. Coming to the locational factors of cottage industry. The heading as locational factors of cottage industry. The first factor is climate as a locational factor. Climate. Just a second. Okay. First thing is climate. So there are jute-based cottage industries. So you have to write it in points. So there are jute-based write in small hints. We will be giving you notes, but just write some small hints. There are some jute-based products and handicraft products that is getting developed in West Bengal because of the humid climatic conditions. Jute grows excellently there. Cold climate conditions, I have fruit-based or fruit processing industries in the cold climatic conditions. I have fruit processing industries like jams, like apple-based products. So it's basically fruit processing industries. So in areas of Himachal Pradesh, all this kind of things happens. They make jams, they make some apple-based apple processing units. They make some apple cider vinegar. So these things you do not need. What do you call? They make it on a local family-based sector. They run it within their family members. So, like if you go to, for example, if you go to Kodaikanal, they make eucalyptus oil as a part of their cottage industry. Eucalyptus oil as a part of their cottage industry. So these are climate-based, what do you call, climate-based cottage industries, or climate acting as an important factor for that particular cottage industry. So you can take that example also. For example, in the Shola forest of Nilgiris, where I have my softwood trees like eucalyptus. Eucalyptus oil is produced as a cottage industry. Dry fruits is another cottage industry. In the case of Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh, dry fruits. I have badam. I have that what do you call, that black grapes that they give you, right? Black small dried raisins kind of thing. Dried raisins, basically dry fruits. So dry fruits in Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh region. They make jam, they make squash. Squash is like concentrate, fruit concentrates are. These are fruit concentrates. All this is made as a part of cottage industries. So these are climate-based cottage industries. Then you have terrain as an important factor. Terrain as an important factor. When I have lateritic soil, brick making is undertaken as a cottage industry. Brick making, laterite soil, brick making is undertaken as a cottage industry. Where I have a coastal region, where I have a coastal region, I have fish processing units. Example, Vishakhapatnam region, Guntur, Vishakhapatnam region, Malabar region, Hooghly region, Kolkata, where coastal regions, wherever I have fish processing units as a small scale industry, as a cottage industry, where I have the presence of alluvium soils, where I have a presence of fertile alluvium soils. The soil is taken so as to make up pot making industry, where I have a fertile clayey soil. You can write it down, not like alluvium soil, where I have fertile clayey deltaic soils, clayey soils. I can use it for pot making industry. Okay, so these are terrain based factors. Then you can take some of the forest vegetation based factors, forest vegetation based factors.
Just a second. Can you hear me now? Is the audio more clear now, or was it clear before? Or or is it the same?
More clear now, ma'am.
Is there any difference that you feel with the audio? Is there any difference that you feel with the audio? No? More clear now. Okay, okay. Fine then. So we will go with this. Right. Right. So listen to this. Forest vegetation based cottage industries. Number one, when I have local forest, when I have local forest, maybe if I have some hardwood timber, if I have some timber, hardwood timber, I can engage in, uh, I can use it for making some wood handicraft based industries, wooden handicrafts, wooden handicrafts I can use it for wooden handicraft based sector. So this kind of wooden handicraft based sector is very well known in many parts of UP, including Saharanpur. Wood carving industry. You can write it as wood handicrafts or wood carving industries. I can take the softwood, I can make paper. Yesterday also when we dealt about paper industry, I told you that paper, most of the paper is done as a small scale industry, it is done as a cottage industry. So paper making industry can also be done using softwood trees, In the Northeast, bamboo is grown excessively, maybe in the regions of Assam and stuff like that. Bamboo is grown excessively, and there I can use it for basket weaving, furniture making. Bamboo is used for basket weaving, paper industry, and bamboo furniture. The bamboo furniture is also very, very famous in the case of Kerala. Not just in Assam, bamboo in Kerala ana pradhana. So Kerala, bamboo based furniture. Have you seen that? Mungil furniture, have you seen that? Yes, I think most of your homes will also have it. Bamboo based furniture. Yes, so those are, yes, so that is also an important cottage industry. That's an important bamboo based bamboo baskets you have, bamboo furniture is very, very important. So that's very, very important with respect to Kerala. So that is another important hot cottage industry. A lot of teak based furniture, furniture activity goes on with respect to Andaman and Nicobar, parts of Northeast and Kerala. Teak furniture, wood based furniture that takes place in the Western Ghats, around the tropical rainforest of Andaman and Nicobar, and in parts of Northeast. Forest, hardwood, tropical hardwood, evergreen forest-based cottage industries. Hardwood, evergreen forest-based cottage industries goes on in these places. Okay, so these are some of the factors based on climate, terrain, and forest. Now going on to some of the historical factors. Historical factors for cottage industry. Historical factors. Number one. Historically, Gujarat is well known for the khadi sector. From Gandhian times, khadi in it's Gujarat, right? So Ahmedabad, Surat, these regions are well known for khadi industry. Khadi, handicraft, textile industry. Ahmedabad, Surat, Vadodara, Bombay, they are well known for khadi and other textile based cottage industries. Similarly, there are many historical factors related to silk industry located in Kanjipuram. I just now mentioned to you Kanjipuram. Essentially, it is a silk industry that's well developed in this region, is essentially a handicraft or handloom sector, handloom cottage sector. All right. I have woolen shawls, woolen clothes being developed as a cottage industry in regions of Kashmir. Saffron is another historical cottage industry practiced in the regions of Kashmir. Lock making is a cottage industry. Lock making, your locks, what do you call it? What do you call the locks in Malayalam? So I presume you understood the word, right? Locks and keys. Lock making is also an important cottage industry with respect to Dindukal in Tamil Nadu and another important place in UP. In Uttar Pradesh, lock making is another important activity. Just a second, let me Google it. Uttar Pradesh. Lock making. Aligarh, yes. The place is Aligarh in UP. Aligarh in UP. Lock making is a cottage factor. It's a cottage industry, like family wise. You know, certain industry. Have you heard of this? Only certain families practice it. So it's like a family based cottage industries in these places in Dindukal in Tamil Nadu and Aligarh in UP. Aligarh is very famous. It's very important also. Fine, that is lock making sector. Carpet industry, especially again in UP, carpet industry is very famous. So carpet making industry, especially in the regions of Mirzapur, carpet making is very famous. Again, it's very important. Carpet, Mirzapur carpets, UP carpets, very famous. Again, it is undertaken in the form of a cottage industry. So these are some of the historical factors, or historically from the times of history, we have been undertaking these factors or these industries in the form of cottage industries. Then comes some of the market as an important factor. The next factor is market. Certain cottage industries, they know that if I set up my industry here, I will have a good market. So market is also an important factor with respect to certain cottage industries. Cake making, very recently during the COVID pandemic, cake baking, what do you call, home bakers have a lot of people have taken up baking as an important sector. Baking, cake baking, that has turned out as a new age cottage industry. New age cottage industry, baking. In urban centers like Chennai, in Kochi, in Ernakulam, baking has become as a new age hobby also for people, and it is always located close to urban centers. Depending on where I have markets, using social media, marketing has been taking place, and it is always located close to urban centers. So you place an order through Instagram, get the product delivered at your home. Baking is a new age industry using social media. Transport is another important factor. For the location of my cottage industry. If I have efficient transporting connectivity networks, I will place my industry there. Technology is also another important factor with respect to dairy sector. This is a very important character. I mean, this is a very important factor. There are small scale dairy processing units that are set up in the form of cottage industries. There are small scale dairy processing units, which is set up as a cottage industry. They need proper tools for preservation. They need proper tools for processing and preservation. Technology is another basic factor. Technology is another basic factor. So what are the problems with respect to cottage industry? Give the heading as problems of cottage industry. The first thing is, let us write an advantage because of the governmental policies, because of the incentives given by the government, and because of the entrepreneurial ability of the people. Entrepreneurial ability of the people. Cottage industry has been growing in the recent times, but in spite of it, there are some problems which has been faced by the sector. But in spite of it, there are some problems that has been faced by the sector. Number one, competition from large factories. These people cannot sustain in the long run. If not supported by the government, they cannot sustain in the long run because there is intense competition from large factories. There is intense competition from large factories. Many traditional artisans have left their cottage industry and have taken to, they have started to move towards the factories. This has been going on right from British times. It is being taking place even now also. The traditional artisans are leaving behind their cottage industries. They are moving towards the cities. They cannot compete with the advanced technologies of the factories. These cottage industries are using mostly hand works. They are mostly using hand tools, obsolete technologies, and therefore they cannot compete with the other sectors. There is a lack of availability of credit and finance. That's another problem. Lack of availability of credit and finance. There is a lack of credit, and therefore they are not able to procure the raw materials which is needed for their industries. There is infrastructure bottlenecks, like what? Power shortages. Infrastructure bottlenecks are there. Then the next problem is marketing. See, they are producing something. Suppose, let's say that there are some good, you heard of this kalamkari sarees, kalamkari industry in Andhra Pradesh. So kalamkari, now because kalamkari sarees have been marketed excellently, this is a positive point that I'm telling you. Because kalamkari sarees, again, it is a form of cottage industry in Andhra Pradesh. Because it is marketed properly in the form of what can you say? Because of marketing, excellent marketing, digital marketing, you can say it, digital marketing, or maybe using the new age social media. Since it has been marketed properly, this kalamkari sarees have got good demand internally within India. They have good demand in the export sector also. It is also very good, very much exported. Marketing is a very important criteria with respect to cottage industries. But at present, suppose let's say that you have a bamboo basket weaving sector, bamboo based sector. There is not much marketing. What will the people do with the output product? These people will not have considerable market. So marketing is absence of marketing, availability of ready-made markets. I repeat, absence of marketing, availability of the ready-made market is a basic problem. You can take one example as Kalamkari saris, where you have the social media like Instagram, where proper Instagram, YouTube, where proper marketing takes place, and therefore Kalamkari has got an export, has got a market even within the country, and there is an export potential also. Whereas when I'm talking about bamboo-based sector, bamboo-based basket weaving sector, if I'm talking about that, there is not much marketing, there is not much of demand that is created, that is hampering this particular sector. One positive, one negative. Since there is a lack of support from the governmental side, upgradation of technology is not happening. Therefore, sickness, industrial sickness is happening in cottage industry. Industrial sickness is happening in the cottage industry. So what can be the measures that you can take? What can be the measures? Rural cooperative banking sector must be increased. Marketing must be increased. KVIC must be given more powers. KVIC must be given more powers. Skill India and Startup India. Skill India and Startup India. This is a program, Skill India and Startup India, that should encourage setting up of more and more cottage industries. Priority sector lending. Banking sector must be encouraged to give more credit to the cottage industries through priority sector lending. At present, too much importance is being given to agriculture, but you should be also concentrating in cottage industries, which is a part of micro, small, and medium enterprises. I repeat. At present, priority sector lending in terms of banking, priority sector lending, too much importance is given to agricultural credit and agricultural loan, but importance should also be given to cottage industries, which is a part of micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSME sector. Okay, so these are the future measures. As a way forward, you can write these points. That concludes my discussion with regard to cottage industries. We are moving on to another important topic of your syllabus, which is multinational companies. Just opposite to that, we are moving on to another sector, which is multinational companies. Okay, MNCs. Quick discussion. MNCs. One second. Okay, so MNCs, of course, you know about it. Whatever companies come from abroad, they invest in India, they set up their factories in India, they operate from India. Those companies is what we call it as MNC. So MNCs are business organizations. They set up their outlets. So they may be based out of a foreign country, but they will be setting up their outlets in India. Okay. So some famous MNCs, if you have to list out some famous MNCs, you can talk about many companies. You can talk about Apple, you can talk about Siemens, you can talk about Apple, Siemens, anything, Ford. They have set up their factory here, but Ford is actually a factory which is based out of foreign companies. You can talk about Hyundai Motors. You can talk about Benz, Mercedes-Benz. Automobile sector is filled with MNCs. You can talk about some of the MNCs in software also, MNCs in software also. So all of them are basically MNC companies, multinational companies. They have their offices in their home countries. They will also have some offices in the other countries of the world. They will have their offices apart from their home countries. They also have some offices in other parts of the world. So that is the best definition with regard to MNCs. India also has certain MNCs. So we have MNCs like what do you call, like Infosys at present. Infosys is one such MNC. They have their factories in India. They have their factories in abroad. Mahindra Group, Tata, these are MNCs of India. So they have their one sector, they have one of their many outlets in India, they have also outlets in abroad. So Apple is an MNC which is based out of Apple, Google, Amazon. These are MNCs which is based out of the country. But when I'm talking about Indian MNCs, I can talk about Tata's, I can talk about Infosys, I can talk about Mahindra Group, I can talk about Aditya Birla Group. So these are some of the MNCs which is present in India. All right. Now let's talk about the characteristics of MNCs. Let's talk about characteristics of MNCs. First thing is completely organized. They are completely organized sector. They have proper chains of marketing, manufacturing, and R&D and finance. They have complete proper chains of manufacturing. For that, they have a separate chain. For marketing, they will have a separate chain. For R&D, they will have a separate chain. So they have separate chains of marketing, manufacturing, R&D, and financing. Their control, the MNCs, their control is ultimately in the hands of the home country. Suppose if I'm talking about Mahindra Group, the ultimate control is in the hands of the Mahindra head office, which is situated in Bombay. If I'm talking about Infosys, they may have an office in somewhere in London also. They may have an office in Silicon Valley in USA, but their ultimate control comes to Bangalore. Their ultimate control comes to Mysore. All right. So the ultimate control lies in the home country, lies in the head office in the home country. They will have huge asset and huge turnovers. This is another important character. Advanced technologies. They will use capital intensive advanced technologies. Right? They will have patenting and trademarks for every goods and services that they produce. They will have patenting and trademark for every set of output that they give. Okay, so what is the reasons? These are the characteristics of MNCs. So then comes, what is the reason for the growth of MNC? What is the reason for the growth of MNCs? The first thing is reasons for the growth of MNCs. The first thing is non-transferable knowledge. What is non-transferable knowledge? You just listen. I will be giving down notes. Just listen. Non-transferable knowledge in Parembo. They have licensed every product that they produce. They have patented every product that they have produced. They have trademarks. Nestle, Maggi noodles is there. Nestle, that's a trademark product. Maggi noodles is a trademark product of Nestle. You can produce the product, but the process and the product of noodle making, which is done in Maggi, it's a product of Maggi. It's a product of Nestle. You cannot copy it. If EP noodles is producing a product, EP is a product of what? EP is a product of ITC. EP noodles, heard of it? Your EP noodles is there. EP noodles is there. Then you have Maggi noodles. EP is a product of ITC. EP is a product of ITC. Maggi is a product of Nestle. EP produces what sort of noodles? EP also produces noodles. Maggi also produces noodles. You have Top Ramens also. You have Top Ramen noodles also. How do you differentiate between them? Now, EP produces something like this. It's the noodles is in a form of circle. That's an intellectual property of EP noodles. Nobody else can copy that product now. Maggi have their own product. Top Ramen, very, very interestingly, they have a noodles called as flat noodles. Have you seen Top Ramen noodles? One of their product is flat noodles. If you haven't tasted it, taste it. It's actually very good. I love Top Ramen noodles. So Top Ramen have something called as a flat noodles. If you observe the noodles, have you seen this flat noodles? It'll be like this, flat. It will not be rounded. It will be flat noodles. So that flat noodles is one such intellectual property of Top Ramen company. Nobody else can copy it. Nobody else can copy it. Yes. Now listen to this and do not go into noodles. Do not go into noodles. Think about what I'm talking. It is the what do you say? The product. It's non-transferable knowledge. They have their own patenting for it. They have their own trademarking for it. So you cannot transfer the knowledge. What they have acquired, it is for themselves, and they make money out of this knowledge. Okay, just listen to this. You need not write anything. So first thing is non-transferable knowledge. The second thing is exploiting reputation. Number two. So these are the reasons for the growth of MNC. Number two, exploiting reputation. I will come right now, just a minute. The next one is exploiting reputations. Infosys has a reputation in the market. Tata's have a reputation in the market. Tata's is the most trusted, most trusted company in the country. When Tata's bought the Indian Airlines, a lot of people appreciated it because they know that when Tata's do something, you can trust it. So exploiting reputation, they would have built what is called as brand image. Tatas, they have a brand image. You can trust the Tatas. One point of time, Tatas ruled, and even now Tatas are ruling. If you have an employee who goes for TCS is like a government sector in the private. It's like a government. What do you call it? It's like a government employment in the private sector. It's like that. Someone who's working in TCS will know it. It's like a lifelong enjoyment. Even if you're not doing a work, you can continue staying in TCS. But it's like that. It's like in terms of private sector, TCS have a very secure employment. TCS have a very secure role. If you're working in TCS, it's like secure. The growth is different. We are not talking about it, but I'm talking about the security. it's like that. They have an image, they have a brand image, they have a brand value to it, and they are exploiting it. How do they exploit it? How do they exploit their reputation? If you go to banks, you will get the funds very, very quickly. People will know, okay, this is a product of Tata, I can buy it with surety. This is a product of ITC Limited, I can trust the product of this particular company. This is you've heard of ITC Grand Chola, ITC, many ITC 5-star hotels. They are known for their brand value, quality of service, brand image. These they can exploit in the markets. They can exploit to get more and more funds. This is exploiting reputation. The third important character is you have to protect that reputation. Yes, you can exploit that reputation, but at the same time, you should be protecting the reputation. You know that I come from this MNC, therefore I have to protect my brand image. When Nestle, when Maggie was banned for a certain amount of time, they came up with a lot of, when Maggie was banned in India for a certain period of time, they came up with a lot of advertisement where a mommy comes, where a mother comes, and she feeds the kids with Maggie, telling that it is good for them. I trust it. So when mothers trust Maggie, then it means that it can be trusted. So Maggie, after Maggie was banned, Nestle invested a lot in terms of building the brand image again. So this is like protecting the reputation. Once the reputation is lost, you have to do it somehow by building it. So that is protecting the reputation. The next thing is protecting secrecy. If you are patenting a particular product, you have to maintain it as a secret. You have to maintain as a secret. Till now, and do not write any of this. Please do not write any of this. Just listen to the story. Maybe the headings alone you can write it, but do not write any of this. I'm just explaining it to you. Protecting secrecy. KFC. KFC is a MNC. KFC is a multinational company. That masala that you use on top of KFC, the KFC, the fried chicken has got a coating on top of it. Everybody says in YouTube also there is a recipe. This is KFC recipe. This is that recipe. But till now, what has been actually done in KFC? It's maintained as a secret. It's maintained as a secret. So it's their way. It's every industry have their own secrets like this, because they have patented the product, because they have a trademark for that product. Therefore, you cannot use it elsewhere. You cannot use it elsewhere. The next thing is the reason for the growth. The next reason for the growth of the MNC is availability of capital. Of course, we are talking about MNC. They have international market. They have international capital also. So there is a huge huge capital. The next thing is product life cycle hypothesis. Product life cycle hypothesis. That is, they know that they can continue the particular product for a certain life cycle. After that, they should withdraw the product from this market. They can introduce it to somewhere else. I can explain this. Just follow me. Japan is very well known for different flavors of Kit Kat. Kit Kat, all the Kit Kat we know is at present only the one is the normal classic Kit Kat. The other one that we know very recently, it has come up in the market, is one thing called as dessert Kit Kat. Some dessert Kit Kat, then some Italian truffle Kit Kat. Something like this has come up in the market. I'm talking about Kit Kat, the normal Kit Kat that you consume. Yes. The classic Kit Kat was a big hit. Similarly, if you talk about 5-star also, 5-star is a big hit. And then they thought this 5-star, some other companies are also producing similar chocolates like 5-star. So let us make one more variation to it. And then they brought about what is called as something like Snickers. They brought about some peanut filled 5-star, peanut filled 5-star. Classic Kit Kat is a big hit, and they thought the life cycle of the product has been over, so let's bring about some new flavors. So this is product life cycle hypothesis. After you know that a particular product has hit the roof, which means it has reached its maximum potential, you bring in some alternative flavors which is very closely resembling to the original product. So you're bringing in new products. So once you know that a product has hit its life cycle, the product has attained a maximum potential, you're bringing in new products. When should you know that this product has hit a maximum period? Namakku new products we can bring it to the market. That is product life cycle hypothesis. You need to know the markets, you need to study the market, and you need to know when you can close one particular product and when you can bring about a new product. So this is product life cycle hypothesis. There should be proper knowledge about this particular term. Strategic FDI, they're getting lots of FDIs from the international market. And symbiotic relationships, like one MNC will engage in a tie-up with another MNC. There will be what is that product? Is that product? Suppose let's say that one MNC is there and they know that chocolates is very fast selling in India. They will engage in a tie-up with India. So two MNCs tying up, that's symbiotic relationship. That is symbiotic relationship. Okay, so these are the different reasons for the growth of MNCs. Okay, these are the reasons for the growth of MNCs. So what are the problems with respect to MNCs? What are the problems with respect to MNCs? First thing is they build up in a large size, and it will be at a certain point of time, it will be difficult to even maintain them. The size, it is an advantage. After a certain point of time, it might even become a disadvantage. Governmental policies, every 5 years, new government, new policy, and that will be difficult for them in the long run. The policy, different policies, that will also be a difficult point for them. The local monetary policy that has been engaged by the government, the local RBI, RBI comes up with different monetary policies that will also affect the business of the MNCs. Share market will also affect the business of the MNCs. Suppose if the government policy is not favoring them, immediately they will pull up the capital, they will shift their industry from one region to another region. What will happen? What will happen to the local people who are employed in that industry? They will not be worrying about them. When that Nokia, when they shut up their factory, phone production factory in Chennai, lots of people lost their jobs. So these things, it may not affect the company drastically, but at the ground level, people will be heavily affected. Okay, so these are the problems from the perspective of MNCs, and the best example of MNCs I've listed out to you initially: Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. From Indian perspective, we have the Tatas, Infosys, Aditya Birla Group. Yes, these are some of the international MNCs and Indian MNCs. Okay, that is it. We have covered the MNC topic also. So the rest of industry we will be taking up tomorrow, and we will be concentrating more with respect to economic geography in tomorrow's class. All right. We'll be concentrating on economic geography in tomorrow's class. Okay. Most of the industries we have covered completely, except for some tourism and some industrial policies is alone remaining. We will be starting economic geography. At the same time, we will cover these topics of industry also. Right. Let us meet tomorrow's class. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.